Yo, what's Gucci? Good morning, folks out there in the blurred verse, the blurred sphere, and all that. You know what it is? It's Saturday morning. We here live to give you some more of that geek shit, baby. You know what it is. And today we've got a couple things and a few headlines to discuss. Just at the outset, man, as you all know, this morning, we would like to highlight some of our favorite shows with.
Uh-oh.
I think we got the weekly Vince glitch, which is totally fine.
I'll jump in. We would like to highlight some of our favorite shows, including the Ultimatum, which is one that we all love. And we're going to talk about for most of today's episode.
Don't do it to us, Steph.
I don't know.
The primary focus.
I don't know if I can be heard. Hello, please tell me you can hear me.
Welcome back, Vince. Welcome back.
Please don't do the Ultimatum. We are not doing that at all, but maybe a little bit. All right. Well, anyway, thank you. I'll take the helm back, Steph. Nice try. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and chat some of these things, man. Now, before we get into that, there's a couple headlines out there, like I said. Some of y'all may have heard that good news, Star Trek fans. Captain Pike's got his own show coming out. For those of y'all who don't know who that is, go on key yourself, or at least do some research. Dumbledore has been censored in certain Asian countries just to get in the theaters, which I think is a whole thing we should talk about as well. And some of our favorite shows are back, which I cannot wait to talk about. One of which is Atlanta. All right. Another one is Top Boy. And speaking of Atlanta, your boy from Atlanta, Donald Glover, one of my favorite people. He is in the MCU, right? Yes, this is, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Davis, the uncle of Miles Morales. Well, recently he's been doing some interesting things. Since he's been known as somebody who doesn't do a lot of interviews, he decided, hey, I'll give an interview to somebody, and who better to interview me than myself. And so I was interested, guys, in what y'all thought about this Donald Glover interview. But before we get started, we're here live with Stephanie. We're with Tyrone.
What up?
Yeah, we are with Yaz, and we're with Ty. And we're here doing what we do so well.
Real quick. Yeah, screen froze on like the good times pose. Like, that shit got me. I'm sorry. It got me so good.
Yaz is here. What's up, Yaz? Yaz is getting it together. It is quite the roller coaster of a morning, if we won't say, but thus far, this is what happens when friends link up, man. I hope all is well in everybody's universe, man. I won't lie. There's a lot to discuss today. There's really not a lot to discuss, but there's a lot of opinions that I think are going to be flying around. What's going on, Roberto? It's the comment section. Hey, yo, Minnie is in the comment. Our Sultan of comments, the comment commandeer. My man is out there making sure that we stay on top of our game. What's up, Lisa? What's up, everybody else? What's Gucci, y'all? Thank y'all, as always, for being a part of the conversation. This morning, in addition to these dope episodes of some of our favorite shows, such as Halo, which I still think is starting to become one of the shows that's leading the sci-fi universes right now. Right. And of course, none other than Moon Knight, another phenomenal episode in my opinion, but we'll get everybody's opinions. But I am curious, guys, because one thing that we all connect on is our nerdiness and our blurrediness and our quirkiness and the things that set us aside from what some would call mainstream pop cultures. And one of the folks that I think leads outside of our homie Yvette Nicole Brown, her counterpart in the Community series, old boy Donald Glover himself. Now, this is a dude that has faced much controversy in his life. If I'm not mistaken, one of the things that he faced controversy for, if y'all recall, was when I think he was discussing, he was discussing what it is like to be a black man who's into comics and who wants to be admired by all, but seems to be dissed by black women. He seems to have this interesting relationship with black women. And he was caught, I don't want to say caught, but he was quoted as saying that black women don't like me. You don't want a man that's like really geeky and stuff like that. And that was his excuse, quote unquote excuse, or his reason for not necessarily being in a strong black family, as some would call, or whatever. So I'm curious about this, guys. Donald Glover, I feel like for me, it's very, I see a lot of myself in Donald Glover. All right, let me just say that. Like, I see a lot of myself in Donald Glover. I see quirky, I see weird, I see misunderstood, complex, multiple layers. And I think that that's what contributes to this interview that he just had, of which I'm curious if you guys are familiar with. Ty, did you know, Bad Ty, that Donald Glover interviewed himself recently? Were you aware that my man, interviewed himself? And if not, what's the first thing comes to your mind when you hear that Donald Glover has interviewed himself?
I mean, it sounds like an episode of my childhood when I used to have a imaginary friend that I used to talk to whenever I was bored. That's kind of what an interview of yourself kind of probably would feel like. I don't even know I'm at a loss of words when it comes to the comments from Donald Glover, in regards to black women not wanting a nerd and all of that. Like, I'm almost a little bit, I'm offended, and I'm also a little bit to the point of annoyed, a little annoyed, because I'm really tired of black men using all these excuses as to why we don't date black women, or we don't want to be with black women. Oh, they're too aggressive, or they're too this. And I'm so tired of hearing that, man. That is something that is not, I'm not about to sit here and allow anybody to just put specifically on black women. That's a personality thing. If a person is aggressive, they're aggressive. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Puerto Rican, Haitian, whatever the case may be. But this continued idea that black men garner about black women, like they're difficult, or they don't like us for who we are, and they won't accept us. Listen, in history, black women have accepted more than most women when it comes to all of the shortcomings of men and all of the things that go along with that. So Donald, tighten up. That's all I can say. Tighten up, bro.
What do you? That's a great point, Steph. I'm curious when you hear these. I mean, this is old. No, I'm not going to sit here and act like this is brand new. I mean, he said these comments like years ago. But when you hear these sentiments, because he's not the only guy who feels this way. There's plenty of black dudes that feel like black women don't want them because they're nerds, or black women don't want them because they ain't hood enough, or because they ain't a certain type of black. You know what I'm saying? Or a certain type of urban, or a certain type of swag. I think that that's in general. But what goes to your mind when you hear this type of like sentiment? Like,
I mean, it makes sense to me. I think that it's probably a statement with some truth in it. I think he was probably going after a certain type of black woman who was not interested in him. I know a whole lot of black women who love Donald Glover. But it's just like a certain type of women in general are not going to be interested in him, not just black women. Now, there are white women who will fetishize and find him more attractive just because he happens to be a black man. So he may have had better luck with white girls. But I think he was just in the wrong places. Like, I went through middle school and most of high school thinking black guys didn't like me because of just who I was surrounded by. And then I went to Howard and was like, holy shit, black men love me. Like, I wasn't in the right place for the type of person that I am and the type of interest that I have. And I think that was just a reflection of him going after women who don't like nerdy dudes, black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever. If you don't like nerds, you don't like nerds.
Yeah. And I think that it's hard sometimes to have that realization that, look, it may be more difficult to find the partner I'm looking for. Tyrone, I mean, in the dating sphere, you're one amongst us that's in the dating life. You know what I'm saying? You're not necessarily attached to the hip right now. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. Let's not put your business out there. But is that something that you struggle with? You know what I'm saying? Is that something you struggle with? Is that a concept that you've had to face before? Man, I might not be able to date people in the black culture because they don't find me black enough, or hood enough or enough?
Well, so short answer, I do think it's something that that I've experienced and dealt with. However, I think if you would ask him these questions now, he'd probably have a better answer to it. And I think what it comes down to is his own relationship with blackness. So instead of
Yes.
when he feels like, oh, certain group of people don't like me, or I may not be able to date a certain group because of these things, it's probably because his whole life he felt like on the outside looking in, when it came to blackness. Because you could see in Atlanta, you could see like a lot of stuff, that how much he loves black culture, but even in the character he plays like that, he's so disconnected from it at times. So I think that these kinds of things, kind of internalized in him, and then he was like, he didn't see it at the time. Maybe he wasn't mature enough to see it in that first time he was asked the question. So he's like, yeah, obviously it's because black girls don't like me. You know what I mean? When really it's his own relationship with blackness, his own self-doubt, and his own, inability to identify, as a black enough person. You use the term enough. So I think probably now he would have a different answer, or maybe no answer at all. Who knows? He's like, sometimes he gets to a level where he's like Diet Kanye, and you're like, all right, is he gonna flip? Like, when is this happening? But it's, you can see his growth. I mean, I think a lot, I know I am, Vince, you've talked about it before. A lot of us go through this type of self-discovery, and it's happened for certain generations. It happens a little bit later in life. We just happen to get to watch his. And he's got a lot of eyes on him while he's learning more about himself, and he's learning more about his blackness. We get to see it through his art, through his shows, through his music and stuff like that. So it looks different, and people are listening and people are watching.
Yeah. I mean, his one of the reasons I think that I take to this is because I can identify with it. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I've always had to compartmentalize myself in terms of me being a certain aspect of yourself around certain people, and then being, the full aspect of yourself around other people. And I just got used to doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, look, this works for me. I'm able to do that. I'm able to kick it with the blurs over here, then kick it with the hood over here with my dope boyfriends. You know what I'm saying? With everybody, who got ankle bracelets. And then I'll go and kick it with the elders of the church. And even though I don't, it's not necessarily my belief system, I'm still, and then the community or aspect of it. Like there's different aspects. We all have multiple layers, but yes, like in the dating realm, when it comes to like, the pursuit of your mate, like, is that something that's, I always thought that it was cool to have somebody different. I mean, you don't want a carbon copy, couple, right? I mean, so I would like, one of the things that I ain't gonna lie, when my wife, when we were courting, so to speak, one of the things that I thought was so dope at one point in time was she used to play her playlist, which had the weirdest shit on it. Like it had these European songs. It had, there were like Middle Eastern songs. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? She's like, oh, you never heard of Umakni Aklash? You know what I'm saying? From I mean, who the hell is that? I want to know more about that. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was dope. When you make, Austin, and when y'all are going through these, like, do you ever like consider the quirkiness as a positive, or is it like or there's just some people who just like, look, if you ain't slinging that dope in these streets, if you ain't got 100,000 followers on your IG, then bro, don't even come for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what's going on? Am I tripping? Am I missing something?
No, I mean, I feel like, the saying opposites attract. I feel like that's like a thing for some people, and it's not also for some people. In my certain case, I guess you can say with my fiance Austin, like we were friends before we started dating. So like, I mean, we already knew how weird each other were before we started, like seeing each other, just because like we had history. But I mean, I remember meeting some of his friends, and like I'd come over his house, like when we were dating, and he would be stuck playing a game for like ever. And I'd walk to the door and he'd be like, yes, Yaz is here. Yaz, can you beat this for me? And I'm like, what is it?
Wow.
And he's like, okay, so this is what you have to do. Like, this is how you have to beat it, you know? And like, these are how you play the game, the controller. And his friend is like looking at him like, you know, that's a girl you're talking to, right? Like a kind of pretty girl you're talking to. Like, you know, and she's fashionable, like, you know, and like, she's not gonna know the fuck. And I'd be like, okay, so this is what I have to do. And like, he'd be like, looking at me like, did she just respond? Like, this is what I have to do. And I'd grab the controller and I'd play for a couple of minutes. And I'd be like, okay, I lost. I know how to beat this motherfucker now. And then I'd win it. And his friend would be like, bro, who is this girl? Like, where does she come from? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good thing to be yourself, because like no one, in my case, no one assumes that I'm nerdy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and that for a lot of people, like that is kind of like their superpower. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how I use it. It's my superpower. Like, I feel like it's the one thing about me that no one assumes. But when I tell them and I explain to them how deep it is, they're like, damn, girl, like you're a fucking nerd. And I'm like, hell yeah, I am proud. Yeah. So, you know, it's like, it's just, it's how I guess, you know, you find, you know, the characteristics that you like in other people, you know what I'm saying? And how you connect with other people, you know what I'm saying? I connect through nerdy shit, you know what I mean? Like, that's how, like, my doctor, you know what I'm saying? My patients, that's how we connect, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's through nerdy stuff. So, and you see me on my scripts, you're like, Yaz, are you serious? And I'm like, bro, you should see my office. You should see my house, better yet. My tree, okay, was like Star Wars and fucking Dragon Ball Z. Like you have no idea. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not, we have to stop assuming that people don't like things because it's not in their characteristic of what you would see them as. You know what I'm saying? Like, like it's, I hate to say this, but like, you know, when your parents say, when you assume, it makes you an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think that's how to, I think it goes, you know what? That's what it says, asshole.
If you can't take the heat, stay out of the assumption kitchen. That's the phrase.
That's right.
We're gonna make that one just sit as is. What's up, Ty?
So to Yaz's point, also I think there are a lot of women, even to this day, that don't even realize that they are nerds. They don't even realize it. They're not educated on their nerdness until you educate them. And then they're like, well, dang, I didn't even realize that's what being a nerd kind of consists of. You know what I mean? And it's and I think that is something also that you have to put onus on the individual that is feeling that way. You know what I'm saying? Because you're feeling this way without the full array of knowledge. So you're already making the assumption that someone is not into your nerdness or whatever. Maybe, you know, if you come off in a different way, you know what I'm saying, or you just kind of have a conversation, you can kind of connect the dots between you two and find a commonality and then build on that. But just to assume that Black women, because if he's saying Black women, you just included all Black women because the couple of Black women you dealt with didn't find your nerdiness attractive. And that's the part for me. Like, dude, like, communicate. Sometimes just communication. Hey, have you ever seen the Marvel's Avengers movie? Yeah, I love the Avengers. You're a nerd. God damn it. That is that simple. It's really that simple. Do you watch have you ever watched The Witcher? Oh, I love Henry Cavill. You're a nerd. See, it's just that simple. Let me just clarify what being a nerd is, and then we can move forward. But just don't stop and be like, oh, she's Black. She probably not gonna like my nerdness.
Why am I picturing Ty like with the rubber stamp walking around? It's like, yo, have you seen it? You're a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
You're for me.
Nerd, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we need a street segment of Ty, just like with stickers. We say you're a nerd, just smacking them on people.
No,
like smack it on their face.
No, appreciate also. you know, it's a cliche also, like how people don't consider nerds to be cool right now either. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not like the in thing, you know? And I'm like, cause my coworker, you know, she's the non-nerd, you know what I'm saying? So when we do nerd out, she's like, okay, I can't be in this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, and she's like, nerds aren't cool. And like me and my doctor looking at her like, bitch, you're not in this conversation for a reason. Like, just saying, okay? Like, this is the cool crowd. You're in the non-cool crowd. Like, all right? Like, even my nurse practitioner is like, bro, did you see what happened on Loki, bro? And I'm like, yes, you're finally catching up. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's the only one. She's like, I don't know what that shit is. Yeah.
Yo, well, I mean, that's why this is so interesting to me, because what Ty said is correct. Like, just like he is assuming that he's being generalized, he generalized black women with that comment. You know what I'm saying? By just saying, and I'm sure he didn't mean every single last one, but even if he meant more than enough, like, it's like, yo, bro, first of all, if you stick around long enough, you'll discover that black women after a certain all right, this is probably gonna put me in. Tyrone, please help me.
I'm ready. I'm getting ready. As soon as you started a sentence with black women, I was like, all right, here we go. Get ready real quick.
I'm like, where am I going with this? Most women, no matter the color,
still ready,
are a little bit more open after a certain age, after experiencing enough of shenanigans from other types of men. And what I mean by that is, like, you might be into the jock when you're in 11th grade, but by the time you're 24, that jock does not have a job, or maybe on unemployment, and you might be looking at that nerd in band class who just hired that jock as potential dating material. So sometimes it takes just a little while of waiting it out, which is what makes it unfortunately unnerving that at the age that he is, at the age that he was when he said this, or that, you know, in the experience, especially with more access to more women, that he still felt that way. I want to kind of get into what he said in this interview, because at first, as soon as you hear this, Yaz, when you hear Donald Glover interviewed himself, you think, what the fuck? What the hell is wrong with this dude? You know what I'm saying? But you also think that's one of those things that he does, that he's saying makes black women not like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of those things that he considers outside the normal sphere, or eclectic, abnormal, a deal breaker, so to speak. But let's just go into it, because he says I thought it was an interesting read. Let me see if I could put some of it on the screen, maybe, and maybe we can read along with this together, man. I thought this was
come out.
This is a little fascinating. So check it out. So here's the article. And it basically says Donald Glover interviews Donald Glover. It's available on Interview Magazine and sure other places as well. It's not like it was done for a specific magazine. He did it for himself. So it starts off by just saying, all right, let's do this like this. See if we can do this like this. All right. Oh, well, hey, let me get that screen. Whatever, bro. I don't care. Let's just look. I'm experimenting. All right.
Hey.
So it says, I think it's like this. So Donald Glover, where are we? Donald Glover says to all right, how am I going to read this without?
Just do it in like Moon Knight fashion, okay? Like Mark and Stephen Grant. All right, that's how we have to see this.
Donald, leave him alone. Give me the body. Give me the body, Donald. Summon the I will talk about it. All right. Donald Glover. All right. Where are you now? I'm on my farm. It's nice. Yeah, I love farms. I love produce. I love all these fruits, bees. Our cow is pregnant, so we'll have a little milk for a little while. It makes me happy. What's this on this table? A Tangelo. I love them. These are black, and these and the black mulberries might be my. All right, whatever. Okay, this is a little boring. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. All right. So first question.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, please.
Oh, no, I was going to say it stays at about this level through most of it. He asks some questions to himself that are like, "Ooh, this might be interesting," and then he Donald Glovers his way out of the questions. So like, don't expect much.
Out of his own questions.
Yeah.
How does he look at this? Look at this caption. It says, "With this backdrop, you look like a baron or something."
Yeah. Well, listen.
I'm like, bro, you wrote this about yourself.
Honestly,
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
at a certain level of talent, you earn the right to be as obnoxious as you want. Like, this is absolutely hubris, but the work speaks for itself. So, is it obnoxious? Yes. Does he deserve it? Yes.
I feel like This Is America would have been perfect for this to come out like right after.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's getting the buzz. It's for Atlanta. So, here's one of the questions I thought was, if so. First question, why did you want to do this? I guess I don't love interviews, and I asked myself, why don't you like interviews? And I think part of it is that the questions are usually the same. This way, I can get questions I don't usually get asked, and that I feel like is the basis of this entire interview. It's to be able to ask himself things that he's not getting ask himself questions he's not getting from the interviewers that he's having to sit in front of. And so we're left with him asking himself about his own cows and about his own backdrop. But there's a few questions in here that I thought were noteworthy. The one specifically about what we were just talking about, the black women, was the one that I think I wanted to kind of focus on. So here, check this out. Oh, excuse me. So check this out. Here it says, as we kind of get to that part, people say you're woke now. I'm not woke. I just grew up. Maybe, but your work seems to have a social political slant around the same time that started becoming more popular. But I don't think that's true. People don't think. I wonder, is he just writing these things, sitting in a room, or it's because I couldn't help but notice that at the top it said that there were multiple. It's by him, but styled. Oh, okay, I guess that's the photographer. Right?
Yeah, no, I think he got up. I think he would ask a question, and then he would get up and change clothes and move seats and answer the question, and then he would change clothes again and get back in disguise and ask the question. And it probably took about 3 weeks to do this interview.
All right, cool. Well, all right, Moon. Let me see. Check this out. It says, "Did you hear what?" Speaking of Malcolm X. Did you hear what Dr. Umar said about you? And he says, laughs. Yeah. What did you think? It's old footage. I think he has some interesting ideas. But I disagree with him on that one. All right. So is anybody familiar with what Dr. Umar, first of all, with who Dr. Umar is? I mean, hopefully y'all know Dr. Umar. Okay.
Yeah, Pan-African.
You don't like my type.
Yeah. I'm just going to nod in approval with all of y'all.
Dr. Umar is this uber. He
kind of black.
He's like uber. Yeah, he's black, and I have a little. I'm gonna change my background here, so it's gonna look a little weird for a second. But we have Dr. Umar. This is what he looks like. Just in case you've never seen him before. Yes, I think I have a clip of him.
You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind.
He shuns black people for doing things outside of their race.
You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind.
His beard is phenomenal, though.
Yeah, he's had that as long as I've known of you.
You have lost your mind. Are you out of your mind right now? You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind.
Where is it? Tell me how to find it.
I just
where is my mind?
I don't know how many times he practiced saying that in front of a mirror.
Well, look, Dr. Umar, look for your average hotep who believes in all things and all things black and nothing else. He is a savior. I've worked with him. I've stood on the stage with him. I didn't know all of his beliefs at the time, but I still, it's some weird thing, like with folks like Umar and Farrakhan, you respect the tenacity and the assertion of these strong black men, even while disagreeing with some of their main points. You know what I'm saying? But you're always happy to have at least some powerful representation, even if they do come with some kookiness and some pretty outlandish thought patterns. But my point was that he said, evidently, Dr. Umar said, Dr. Umar does not necessarily think too highly of Donald Glover. He says, Donald Glover, who admit he doesn't love. Let me see. He says, the part of the question is used it doesn't get asked. Either tell this is his biggest mistake. Oh well, I don't see the direct quote, but evidently it was something about his. I don't know, something about his. I don't know. I don't even.
But if I'm not mistaken, was it about his proclivity towards white women?
Yeah. I can't really put all of this stuff in words without going too far off of the boundary.
Let Tyrone put it in words, because he probably has more backstory than you.
No, I see. No, Dr. Umar, unless he's telling me I've lost my mind, he's probably not speaking to me. So that's Dr. Umar. Yeah. I'm antithesis to what he believes. So I just kind of steer clear generally. So I don't really know his thoughts like that.
And but what Tyrone is saying, for those who can't read the tea leaves, like Dr. Umar is against interracial marriage and against interracial relationships. And Tyrone, obviously, as if you've been following, is a product of one of these relationships. And therefore, as well as it gets complex because it's really yes.
I was gonna say, because I'm an interracial child, okay, from interracial grandparents and my parents, and I'm about to be another married interracial couple. So fuck Dr. Omar.
Well,
on behalf of interracial people.
So you know who the fuck. What's up, Ty?
Yeah, so let me add a little context to this, because it makes it seem as though that's more what it is about. And Dr. Umar is not necessarily about that. Dr. Umar is more about the growth and the development of Black families. It's not that, I mean, yeah, he is against interracial dating and all of those things, but it's more because he feels that the Black family is being targeted and being separated, and not being, that the idea of a Black man and a Black woman being in a household is not help me out, Tyrone.
The youth?
Nah, it's not the youth. It's just that at this point, I knew you was gonna do that to me. It's at this point, the idea of the Black family, in the sense of a Black man and a Black woman raising a Black family, he feels as though in the United States and around the world, it is being deconstructed. It is being obstacles are being put into play so that doesn't happen. So he's more pro-Black than he is against everybody else. He's just and so it comes off as like he hates everybody else, but it's just more about him loving the idea of the Black family. So I think a lot of times that gets convoluted in the fact that he does make the comments about interracial dating and all of those type of things. So
you have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You have lost.
No, I do think though that is one of the things, and the reason I'm just like I'm not really on board with because he does start with some good ideas, being pro-Black, wanting more Black families and stuff like that is wonderful, but like a lot of villain origin stories, it starts with a very simple good idea, like Thanos is like, hey, there's not enough shit in the universe to go around, and then like I wish everybody had their fair share in the universe, and then he gets to let's kill half the universe, you know what I mean? So it's like a good, like, it starts great, but then I don't think it necessarily comes off that he's hateful towards other people or against other people. I think he got there by way of his words and his actions. So that's why, like, it's like a lot of things, it's layered. It's it's not a one, it's not just a surface level thing. There's a lot, because a lot of times he's talking, he does speak truths. Yes. But the way it looks from somebody like my perspective is, here's a dude that would absolutely not fuck with me, would rather I didn't exist.
Yep.
But sometimes he says some stuff that you're like, okay, I can understand that.
All right. Now I will say this. I think that Dr. Umar's point is not to, as much as it sounds the way we're saying it, is objective, is not to shun or to or to somehow disrespect white people. I think even though I mean it definitely comes across like that. I think that his thing is he's coming from, if he's telling it, and this is from his perspective, his point of view, he feels that the dominant white culture has gotten enough already, and has enough handouts, enough does not have the same experience, doesn't have the generational trauma that we as United States, those, what they call ADOS, African descendants of slaves, American descendants of slaves, will have. And he's saying, listen, I have no reason to put forth anything that would assist the dominant culture or offspring of the dominant culture, because my sole purpose is to uplift this culture that I believe has been spat on, shat on, all that over the years. I'm not here to justify. I'm explaining his point of view. So I think his is more of uplifting what he considers a downtrodden community, as opposed to excluding those who who should be included. There's these opposing views. Like, do we have a world that's run where we all live, harmoniously, or do we have a world that we have our categories, and we strive over here, you strive over here, and we strive separately, and we have our own thing? That's a whole other subject. I didn't mean to get into all that, but it is a fascinating discussion that we could have at some point in time. Right now, I just want to talk about the fact that he was talking about. I was talking about like he's talking shit about Donald Glover. And Donald Glover, again, is a nerd representative. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's, him. I consider him, folks like him, Lupe Fiasco, Thundercat. Like, there are some folks that you look at, you're like, okay, this is a black nerd, and he's representing for the black nerd culture, for blerd culture, essentially. And I think that him, Yvette, and folks like that exist. So I think that it's fascinating. Let's read this little part about him and what black women think about him, and then we'll go ahead and move on to some interesting things like Moon Knight and Halo, and who knows, some other stupid ass shows like Ultimatum that we may discuss as well. All right, hold on. So here's what he says. This is the question that I really want us to kind of zoom in on, because this is something I think we can all dig into. Are you afraid of black women? He says. Why are you asking me that, self? Well, I feel like your relation to them has played a big part in your narrative. I feel like you're using black women to question my blackness. Well, all right. Are you going to teach your kids how to be black? Well, yeah, someone should. Should someone else? I mean, it feels as though your thoughts on it. So like Tyrone says, it's a non-answer. He dodges his own question. It's like
but in a way, in a way, like those lines right there, where he's like, I feel like you're using black women to question my blackness. When you think about his old comments of black women don't like me, that was him using black women to question his blackness. So it's him saying, yes, I recognize this in myself. So it's not about black women. It's about the way I feel about myself.
I feel like if you publicly ask yourself, are you afraid of black women? And the answer is anything other than no, you're not taking that to clarify, for the record, I'm not, then you're saying that you are from some part of yourself.
Wow. Should he be? Go ahead, Ty.
I was just gonna say, and to Stephanie's point, and I think what this is it's not a question of black culture. This is more of a question of Hollywood culture, and like this is something that is definitely promoted in Hollywood, and when you start talking about race, a lot, especially when you're in Hollywood, a lot of people get uncomfortable. A lot, like black people get uncomfortable when you start having to talk about race, and it puts you in this light. And I again, I don't like the comment. The comment itself just puts that out in the atmosphere. You don't even need to put that out in the atmosphere that black women don't, you know what I mean? Like, bro, if you have messed with a couple of girls and they did not like you because you were a nerd, then those couple of girls didn't like nerds. It didn't have anything to do with them being black. If they were white and they didn't like you because you were a nerd, then that's just what it is. But the idea that you're putting that out there in the atmosphere for people to kind of just sit there and process it or do whatever they want to do with it, make their assumptions or whatever the case may be, or even tie their situations into what you had. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what people do. They'll be like, oh, well, Donald Glover has the same problem, so it must be okay. if he's got the same problem, then so no. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, come on, come better down.
Okay. Can we at least acknowledge? All right, let me play devil's advocate. Okay, let me play devil's advocate with a caveat. All right, for the black male who doesn't grow up struggling. Okay, for the black male who does not have that struggle. One of the things that I think that the black community has as a whole is the identity of the struggle, right? Whether you got it or not. I mean, let's not forget, Skip Gates, Harvard law professor, was arrested at his house for breaking into his own house. You know what I'm saying? In a rich Massachusetts neighborhood. Martin Luther King was shot while in his suit. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this struggle that regardless of how high Oprah Winfrey was racially not profiled, but some lady over in Europe was like, "Can you afford this purse?" Like a few years back, and she was like, "Bitch, I'm Oprah." You know what I'm saying?
I'll buy this store.
But I'll buy your family. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your name again? Okay, you are officially home. I brought slavery back. So, like, I think that there's this attachment to the struggle that I think black people we identify as, not only with what we have to deal with society, but also with what we're taught through history. And when you don't have that today struggle, right, you start to dissociate yourself from blackness. You understand what I'm saying? Am I making any sense here? Like, if you're not struggling, then you start to feel that you're not really as black. So you start to find ways to struggle. Or to find ways to identify with that struggle. In this particular instance, I feel like what Donald Glover is not realizing is that he might not be having to prove himself as black because of his lack of struggles or his lack of ability to identify with what he perceives as blackness, right? Am I making any sense? I don't know. So having said that, when you are that young boy in high school who didn't have food stamps, who did not have any issues with the lights being on, who did not have to deal with the struggles of aunts and uncles that were drunk or with cousins, with having to deal with not having it, you start to think that that's how black people are, and if you aren't like that, then you're not one of them. So these women that you're trying to look at, that you're trying to talk to, if you can't speak to them about that same stuff and you want to talk to them about Moon Knight instead of about, Jordans and other things like that, then you don't look at that as just a difference in your cultures. You look at that as you not being black enough to fit in with your fellow. Am I hitting on it?
I do. I think what it sounds like is the personal perception of what blackness means to you, and whether or not you fit that mold. So if right. Let's just say I'm Donald Glover and I look at blackness and I'm like, blackness to me is struggling, being poor, right, acting a certain way and dressing a certain way. And I'm not saying that's what he thinks. I'm just saying in this example, given some of the stuff you listed, that is a perception of blackness. That is a generalization that may not be true across the board, right? It's not always going to be like that. That idea comes from a very long time of conditioning of equating blackness with being economically less than, socially less than, that kind of thing. But that's way in another direction. But what it comes down to is a personal perception. So in order to kind of take away that feeling of like, oh, I don't fit into this place I want to fit into, what is wrong with me or what's wrong with the way I'm thinking, it's they're not including me. I'm excluded because of the stuff that I like or the stuff that I'm into. And really what it comes down to, Lisa made a good point. Any generalization is not a good look. More likely than not, while there are always going to be some sort of, societal things that will come and creep in and kind of dictate the way we move, I do think we should take some personal responsibility. There's a good chance that, he was, trying to talk to some ladies and he just maybe at that point didn't have any game, or they didn't like something about him personally that they weren't trying to fuck with. You know what I mean? Unless somebody's like, I don't like you because you read comics. anything that if you want to attach that to something, that's your decision. It's very likely that at some point you just fucked up, and you can't generalize based on that. But I want to pull it back. I think that there's going to be a certain amount of that, but what it all seems to come down to is his personal relationship with the idea of blackness and what that's supposed to be. We talk about things like code switching and appropriating different ways of being, that sort of thing, and it all lends to that. So this is just kind of his self-discovery period.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. Great points. Steph, is this a game thing? Is this a matter of Donald Glover just not having the right approach? Can you win? Can you get Beyonce with Donald Glover's swag in high school?
No, you cannot, because Beyonce doesn't want a Donald Glover. Beyonce wants a Jay-Z. It has nothing to do with your blackness. It has to do with the type of men that Beyonce is into. If she wanted a nerdy dude, she'd be with a nerdy dude. But I mean, if you watched Awkward Black Girl, like season 1 finale was Issa Rae geeked to go to a Donald Glover concert. She's a beautiful, very successful Black woman, and apparently that's her type. So you're just, anybody of any color is wasting their time if you're going after somebody who was not attracted to your type.
Look, all right, I'm gonna get kind of personal here.
Do it.
Let's
go.
I didn't. I did not pursue my wife because I thought, I was like, I'm not in. I don't fit in that space. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this would be fun to have. Let's have some fun here, but let's keep it there, And I was pleasantly surprised that, that it was not necessarily just that I was able to be myself, which I learned over time. And I was able to unveil all of my different quirky weirdness. Look, yesterday, me and Ty was playing Ghost of Tsushima. And when he sent me the invite, I was playing On the Nature of Sunrise, which is a cello. It's a cello trio of one of the most vivid songs by strings that I've ever heard, of which I have on a playlist of songs that are mostly classical music. And that's one of those things where I'm like, what is wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to think like, why do I love this shit? You know what I'm saying? And I did have that feeling of like, who the hell is going to really put up with this? And so I guess what I'm saying is I was able to overcome, I think swagger trumps insecurity. I think if you're able to project confidence in whatever the fuck it is that you're into, that women find that appealing. But when you come at it like what you are into is a crutch, then you're basically a wounded cattle. You know what I'm saying? And no woman, I don't want to say no woman, but most women prefer to have a counterpart that exudes strength. And when you come at it like, oh, they don't like me, then off rip, you're like, look, bro, you're at the back of the line. You're not in the shield wall. You know what I'm saying? You're in the back watching with the king. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's ultimately what we may be seeing here. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, if you talk to and I'm reading the comments, I'm reading that Lisa was a nerd. Lisa, we was in high school together. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I remember we was playing a clarinet. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know she was a nerd. Look, I hear that looks like Minnie was gang banging with with lifesavers. Like he had a red lifesaver, and they was like, "Yo, what up with all that dead? Cuz, what up with all that dead?" And he was like, "Yo, man, hold on, bro, I'm a Sith, not a blood." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I get it, but I just think that Donald Glover, in terms of being a representative of that whole mind space, is good, because unlike Yvette Nicole Brown, his MCU counterpart, his community counterpart, who wears it as a badge of honor, right? Who's like, yo, I'm a black nerd. Hell yeah. And look what we did. We kill shit. We're dope as fuck. And for her, it's not like something that she's ashamed of. It's almost like to her, like Yas called it, like a superpower. So is it a woman to man thing? Do women have that same inhibition? Yo, I don't know. I can't find a dude, or black men aren't attracted to us geeky girls that really just want to watch Sailor Moon and Attack on Titan, even though the black anime fan is rising in this era. Yaz, Steph, is that a thing? Do you find yourself keeping? I mean, I know you're in your own spaces relationship wise, but I mean, in that realm, did you find yourself having to shield certain aspects of your nerdiness because you didn't want that to get out too much and make them think the wrong thing about you? Is that a thing? I don't know.
I don't try to hide it, but I'm prepared for people to be like, oh, that's cute, that's quirky. Like right now, I'm talking to this guy I really like. He is smart and funny and hot, like a man's man. He's from the Bronx. And so we're talking, and I said something about being a Marvel fan, and I'm expecting him to be like, oh, that's cute. And he's like, yeah, and starts talking about how Magneto is really Scarlet Witch's dad, and they change it in the movies, and here's how Thanos is different in the comics. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, totally off guard. I did not see that coming. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, I love those. I love it when you could throw out those little those flags. You know what I'm saying? See if they catch them. You know what I'm saying? What you was about to say, Ty?
I was just about to say that is a common theme by a lot of city dudes. Like I grew up in the city, and we was doing comic books at a trading comic books and all of that at a very early age.
Yep.
We was like, so, and that would be conversations we would have on the block. We'd be on the block, like talking about like that, like even go back to remember the Punisher intro. Yo, Punisher be killing you. Bang, bang, bang. Yo, he be shooting mad. Yo, that's really a lot of the inner city kids kind of went into comic books with these, because you're growing up in the city.
Yep.
And a lot of times, a lot of kids growing up in the city have low expectations as far as life goes. So when you read these comic books and you see all of these fantastic things happening, you associate those things with your own life. You try to put yourself in the shoes of those people. Maybe your favorite character is a Magneto because you like the power that he has, or maybe your favorite character is this person because they can do this. But those things, that common theme is something that you'll find with a lot of dudes that you wouldn't think. You'll be seeing a dude on the block in his Timbs, in his baggy jeans, hoodied up, looking like he about to rob you. But shoot, you go ask this dude something about the Avengers, and he might break down everything. You be like, dang, bro, but that's assumptions. We back to the assumptions. That's what happens when people make assumptions. You never really find out all that you need to know about a person because you've already made up in your mind who they are.
And so Stephanie, you're an asshole.
As to you and me,
you're an asshole. That's right. So Stephanie, think of it like this, okay? So you guys always say like I have the coolest parents, blah blah blah. Like both my parents are born and raised in New York, both of them, and all I've ever known with both of them is comic books, video games. That's why I'm such a nerd. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a thing that we did together. That was like how we bonded. You know what I mean? So like that, because that was all we knew. So like Tyrone was saying, it takes us out of the world that we're in and it brings us into a fantasy world. You know what I'm saying? So that's a really big thing for people like upstate and stuff like that. Like all my friends that I know that are in New York that that I used to talk to and stuff like that. That's what we would talk about was like nerdy stuff. You know what I mean? And like Vince, to answer your question about like relationships and stuff like that, I feel like in my situation, I kind of deter people because I am such a nerd, and most people that like talk to me are not. You know what I'm saying? Like, like they find that out and they're like, whoa, you're seriously deep in this. And like when they try to have a conversation with me, I'm like, I'm that way nerdy person that's going like way too hard into it. And they're like, okay, I'm not even this far yet. Like, you can't ruin this for me yet. I passed a certain point. And I'm like, oh, bro, you have no idea. Just watch, bro. Reconvene this conversation when you watch it. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like because, I'm good at video games. Like I'm lucky because like Austin is, he's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like all just scared about how great I am. Like he will like legit, like we'll have a, hassle people. He'd be like, babe, go ahead, knock it out. Just beat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he'll be like, bro, she's like, he's like, I'm a top tier gamer, but Yaz is like, I don't even understand how like she can be better than me. She is like, you know what I'm saying? So it's nice that like, you know, he acknowledges the fact that I am a little bit better just because, you know, I played a little bit more when I was a kid. So I have knowledge of that stuff. But yeah, I just want to comment real quick. Lisa, I have not met anybody else who was a 12-year-old freshman, bro. That is fucking awesome. You and I both were 12 years old and a freshman in high school. Like, legit. Like, I haven't met anybody like that's been that low. I graduated, I was barely 17 years old when I graduated high school. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, me too. And that's the problem. We shouldn't do that anymore.
Why? What's wrong with that?
I don't know.
In our time, it was okay. Nowadays, that's a little different. Them kids start later for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're smart enough to do it, why held yourself back? Because the school system's different.
We had late birthdays, Vince. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
well,
we had late. Matter of fact, we all did.
We're December kids.
Yeah, that's
don't be holding us December kids after October, whatever. Don't be holding us back, bro. Fuck that shit. I started in New York at 4 years old. I moved to Florida halfway through, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Maddie, your daughter can't go to school because her age." My mom was like, "Fuck that. She's highest in her school, in her grade, in New York. I want her to fucking test. If she passes the test, get her in." I graduated at 17. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated at 17 too, as one of the few people.
One of the few
people on campus who could not buy Black and Milds by the time that it was time to. I'm not opposed to it. Obviously, you know what I'm saying, things are different now. But yeah, I feel like
16?
I was a 17-year-old on the varsity. You know what? We're getting way ahead of ourselves, man. Lisa,
Tyrone, you too, right?
We would have been even closer.
Yeah.
Look at all of us, a bunch of just
bunch of sages, man. We got late birthdays, man. So of course we all graduated.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Yeah, all of us.
I was actually 13 when I graduated high school. Yeah, it was a Doogie Howser situation.
I'm 13.
I went right 13, and I went right into community college. I was a damn genius. It was crazy.
That's it.
I'm done.
Oh, such an idiot. Yo. All right, well, listen, Donald Glover, man. All I want to say is, bro, look, you don't have to be afraid of Black women. I think what you're honestly afraid of or apprehensive of is popular women. I think that what your perception of popularity has integrated with Blackness, which is not necessarily the worst thing. It just means you hold Black women and Black people at high regard. But just don't forget, like, we're not a monolithic society. We're not a monolithic community. Otherwise, Blurred Con would not be so popular. So rather than associating all Black women to pop culture, maybe just start thinking that there's a Black woman, just as there is a woman, for everybody. And even if you just have to sift a little bit more through that haystack for that needle, she's there. Trust me, she's there. And she might not be who you think. You'd be surprised at some people that you start talking to, and all right. One last thing I'll say is, like, I'll have people that are coming to my place of my work or whatnot, and they'll be like, you know, I have Spider-Man stuff all over the place. Like,
you do.
Yes, I am like Spider-Man, Jedi, everything, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you think of the last Spider-Man movie?" I'll be like, "Oh, you know, it was the best." "Oh, but did you really think that the multiverse is gonna be?" I'm like, whoa. What are you saying now? What's that? Okay, you just all right, put this away. We had to have a whole different
That's
conversation.
literally what he does. So he'll be like, "Let me put this down. Hold on. All right. Let's stop everything.
Conversation.
Hold on." But you guys have to understand, when Vince goes to work, this motherfucker looks like he should be on like the cover of GQ, bro. Like, he is bro. Don't look at me like that. I done told you this. He is dressed like head to toe. Okay, he is dressed. So you're like, how's this motherfucker in this suit right here, like all businessman, like about to have all this Spider-Man shit all in his office and geek out with me. So it is a whole scene to see. Please, I'm telling you, if you haven't done it, see it. It is worth it.
Or not, you know. Let's compartmentalize.
Show up at Vince's work.
let's not.
Season's over. Never mind.
Don't even come in. Just stand in the window. Just,
right.
Just be in the parking lot like, damn, she was right. Look at that suit.
Drive by, you see
dress shoes with no socks.
Yes,
That's a
look,
flex.
you're right. The new blurred order. Niggas dress.
You know, Vince don't own any socks. Vince doesn't have a single pair of socks. That's how he dresses.
Yo, can you see me? What the hell? No, man. Well, listen, my socks just don't go above my ankles. That's all I'm saying. Well, there's no point in seeing it. But yeah, man, Donald, calm down, bro. It's gonna be all right. Now, we got a couple other things I want to holler about real quick, man. One of the things that we was all right. Full disclosure, fourth wall back. By the way, it's an hour in, and I'm just now realizing that we never did this.
Hey guys, I love the new blurred order. You should too.
Whoa.
Welcome to part 2 of today's episode.
That's like an A24 movie where the credits start like 30 minutes in. You're like, what the hell?
An hour in, this
Yo,
man's like, run it.
Roll the intro? No, roll it. Just roll. It's the middle of the movie. Roll it.
Next week I'm gonna start the show with this week's credits. But yeah, man. So one of the things that we were talking about in our group chat this week was shows that we like that aren't being necessarily talked about in high regard. We went back and forth. Ty and I are huge fans, and we're trying to get Tyrone on this bag, but we are huge fans of this show called Top Boy. I don't know if y'all have seen Top Boy, if you know what it is, but Top Boy is so dope. It's The Wire on steroids. Minus The Wire. You know what I'm saying? minus The Wire. Yeah, well, listen. I don't like. You hear this? I know I said it was The Wire. I said it's not The Wire, but it's not The Wire. All right. What am I trying to say? It's The Wire. It's not The Wire. It's as good as.
I got you. Hold on. I got you.
He's a liar. He's not a liar.
Have you ever seen the movie Shot Us? This is, if they made it a series, watch that shit. It is fire.
That is Thank you. Yes, that's it. It's the Shot Us based in Britain, in London, I think. And it is so fire. I am obsessed with the accents. I'm obsessed with bro. It's not gonna go down not like that. Yo, you lot over there. You lot. Tyrone hates. Every time I do an accent, Tyrone cringes. Like you can see him.
I don't know your connection to Jamaican culture and stuff like that, so I'm not gonna. That's you. But if you start busting out with the Japanese one, then I'll be like.
Arigato gozaimasu. Ni hao ma. That's
God damn it, man.
You just say ni hao. You just went Chinese.
I went from Japanese to Chinese. Yeah, man. Ni hao ma. Arigato. I say hi in Chinese and goodbye in Japanese.
And on behalf of the British folks, do as many British accents as you want. All of them. Do all of them. Yeah, have fun, man.
I mean, shit, y'all take enough of our jobs. No, I'm just playing. I'm not one of these people. I'm not one of these people who thinks that like British actors are taking over. People think that, but I don't think that that's really happening. I think that it feels that way, Steph. I don't know if it's actually the case, but it is a little weird that British folks can do a much better accent of us than we can imitation of our accents that we can do of them. I heard that it's because our culture is more prominent in theirs than vice versa.
It's not across the board though. Like I've heard British people do really bad American accents. That shit's hilarious. It's just it's really, really funny. We just happen to get some of the best actors from England who are just like really good at it. But trust me, they're out there. I'll find some videos for y'all.
I was gonna say, find some videos. I gotta see this, please.
Yeah. And isn't there like numerous dialects also in British in the British language? Like they have like different types of
just like
you have the ones that are clearer, like more proper speak. Then you have the ones that you can't understand. You gotta
they have southern accents, they have northern accents, they have just like we do. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, so Ty, there's a country accent, but it's completely different from our country accent. Yeah. Like our country accent, like, hey, Larry, you throw down that boss, goddamn it, and shit. I need a half, goddamn it, a hog for a goddamn shit, boy. Me and the horses are gonna head down to the market and shoot a couple porcupines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But evidently in London, when you head out to Brighton and Watford, you know what I'm saying, or England, excuse me, it's more of a well, letting you come down here for a good time now, didn't it? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like the Londoner, it's a little more posh. It's a little more, pish posh. Well, yes, I like tea with my crumpets, please. I don't know. I don't know it as well as probably Tyrone does, but the little time I spent there, I was exposed to kind of the accents. But what I wasn't exposed to when I was there was this streetness. When you think of Britain, we don't automatically think of a New Jersey Drive, New Jack City type of, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we should. All right, maybe we should, because Sully and Duchesne are not known to be fucked with. I swear for God, this dude Sully is one of the most gangster written characters I have seen on a show in my life, and it's not incredible. And by incredible, I mean non-credible. Like, it's not unbelievable. It's a credible role that you're like, this dude is a real. Like, I could see, and evidently Ty, he's a rapper too, right? Like he's a rapper.
Music? He's a underground rapper. That's a big and Tyrone can kind of probably address this, but that's a big culture. That's a very, very, very huge culture over there as far as the underground rap scene.
I honestly don't have a lot of knowledge on Britain's underground rap scene. As much as I'm used to British accents, I feel like I'm always kind of giggling a little bit when I hear British people rap, just because it's just like, this is funny. That shit's hilarious. I'm sorry, it's always gonna be funny to me.
I actually love British rap. If you're into it, there is a duo called Show Dem Camp that you should look up. They're dope.
Okay,
talk to us about that. What's that?
It's two guys. They're a rap duo. They just did a sold out show at SOB in New York. And have been around for a while, just make really dope music. One is kind of my play cousin a little bit. One of them I know, and they're just really good. So you should look up their music. Show Dem Camp.
Okay, well, listen, are they drill artists? Because I know that the British rap scene does a lot of drill music. You know what I'm saying? And I know Drake tried to kind of tap into the drill. And
it's not drill, it's more classic hip hop, but just with the British accent. So it sounds really cool. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh no, they seem to be more lyrically driven right now than American hip hop, which is good because it is more like lyrically relevant and just better in that respect.
Yes, they're saying silly accent, that make sense, and you can tell what they're saying instead of a
they're not mumble rapping.
Oh, you can? Cool. Okay, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Actually, literally, I was listening to some of the songs on the Top Boy soundtrack, and they was spitting. It gave me old school Wu-Tang, not Wu-Tang, not that elaborate, where you literally have to like de-encrypt every verse, but like it was like some Big L vibes, like lyricism. Like I remember when lyricism was king. And for you to be able to drop bars that made you rewind it or to memorize somebody's verse was what it was. And I heard stuff like that. I mean, and this dude evidently is a rapper, and he is such a good actor. Like, holy shit. Okay, so it's based in a place called Summer House. There's 4 seasons, for those of y'all don't know. There's 2 of the older seasons, and this is what evidently happened. The 2 older seasons, one of which was released in 2011 and the other was 2013, if I'm not mistaken, had been out for a while. They were on the BBC, some show over there. Drake starts watching him. All right. Drake starts to do that thing where he assimilates the culture that he's enjoying at the time.
Where's Dr. Umar at?
Dr. Umar will wipe his genie pool off. But hold on, what's this? Have I just been corrected? South African hip hop. Okay. So yeah, you're right, Manny. So Drake says, "Yo, I dig this show," and evidently has something to do with the reboot of the show. Pitches it to the Netflix producers, and then we get the 2019 reboot of Top Boy, which is a continuation of the first 2 seasons. In this, you learn and see gritty surroundings with the urban culture in the UK, which I think is so funny because you have these gangster folks who will shoot you in a heartbeat right after their tea and crumpets.
Yeah. You're like, hey, calm down, man. Go have some tea in it. It's like, all right. You're like, that's a weird way to tell your boy to calm down. Hey, 2 sugars, right, mate?
Want some milk? Milk in the tea?
Right, Oh. But I have a newfound level of respect. Like there's a guy named Travis. Oh man, I gotta look his name up. I met up with this comic when I did a little bit of comedy over there, and there's this dude over there named Travis. He does let me see. I want to get his name right because I want to shout him out. Travis J. All right, hilarious dude. He does shows with Dave Chappelle when he's in England, and he kind of gave me. We had a little lunch. We met up. And just talking with him and some other British comics, and the way that they look at us Americans, they look up to us, but they still think we're stupid. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, not us as individuals, but the country, the America. You guys are what? And now this is back during a different administration, so you can imagine the sentiments. But
I mean, we still dumb.
It's just it's interesting to see these folks. I would highly recommend Top Boy to anybody who likes any kind of show that has, like crime. If you're a fan of Snowfall, if you're a fan of I don't know what else is out there.
And you're like the South, any of that shit. Like if you like any gangster, you know what I'm saying, any kind of, you know what I mean, like trapping, drugs, you know what I'm saying, war gangs and stuff like that, like definitely watch this show because like it's not just about like the action that comes with it, but it's about like the storyline that they're giving us and the character bases and the development of them. Like I at first was like, okay, this is pretty cool, and then now I'm like so submerged. Like Austin's like, babe, we're gonna watch Top Boy. Come on, where's my gangsters? And I'm like, okay. And then my mom came over and I was like, she's not gonna watch that. And she just sat and watched. She's like, who is this? Why is he getting shot? I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to watch it. You know what I mean? So like, you get into it. This show it's got depth. I'm loving it. You guys should definitely check this shit out.
It's one of those shows for sure where when Netflix asks, do you want to keep watching? You're like, yep.
Thumbs up.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. We will keep it going.
Sucks you in.
Man. So check that out, man. We definitely won't spoil anything on that right now. The other show is we have already kind of talked about Atlanta. Has anybody seen any of the new episodes of Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone has.
Oh yeah.
What's your thought of first of all, are you a fan of it? Is everybody here? Does everybody here watch Atlanta? Come on, tell me y'all watch Atlanta. Oh wow. Oh shit. What?
Man, y'all missing the like one of the best shows on TV, if not the best show on TV. That show is fantastic.
I know Donald Glover is on it because I've seen like the fucking
the picture that
the picture.
But that's it.
I watched season 1.
Yeah,
come on,
Same. Season 1.
No, it's really just one of the best shows on TV. It's Donald Glover like at his best. As far as the director Hiro Murai is absolutely killing it. At times it's like watching a horror show. Like that shit. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the episodes are just like scary. The shit's awesome, but it's always funny, always good. The characters are amazing. The acting's perfect. Brian Tyree Henry kills it in that show. Lakeith Stanfield kills it in that show. Zazie Beetz kills it in that show. Like everybody's killing it. Every episode's gold.
Oh no,
there's not a single weak episode of that show.
No wonder why Vince is watching it. You said Zazie Beetz is in there.
Oh, you're goddamn right. Yes, I have a full life hall pass for Zazie Beetz. It's going down. And I mean, listen, this if you look at this the right way, this show is built around Marvel characters. All right, if you want to look at this from a blurred perspective, all right, you've got Aaron Davis and a Domino right here. Okay. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, we've got I forgot my man's name
Fastos.
Estos. Fastos. Yeah. I said Ectos. That was stupid. Fastos from the Eternals. Like there's Marvel all through this show. You know what I'm saying? And it's not an unbelievable. Donald writes himself as a very credible character who's basically the kind of guy that he is, a quirky individual dealing with what's up, Steph? Breaking news.
Oh, it wasn't breaking news. I just wanted to add something when you're done.
Okay. He's his quirky self, but he's also trying to fit in with his cousin, Paperboy, who's played by Brian Tyree Henry. And Paperboy has a single coming out, but it's not really getting a lot of play. So Donald plays the role of the manager who tries to get him popping. And over the course of the next few seasons, you get to see the progress, the regression, and what goes on in the industry with Donald Glover's character leading the way. And one of the most refreshing things about this, frankly, is my man.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Lakeith Stanfield, excuse me,
Darius.
right here in the middle. He kind of plays the Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo of this, but in a very refreshing sense. So I highly recommend it. Steph.
I'm behind, but I did enjoy season 1, and I wanted to show you my cosplay.
Oh my god,
Harrison.
that is great.
Transracial
Holy shit.
individual.
Holy shit, that is so good.
Come on,
That episode was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes, yo, so hold on, Steph. That was phenomenal. I knew we loved you for a
Can you
reason.
send that to the page so we can like post that all over?
Yes,
Yeah.
send,
Oh my
please.
God.
Let's memorialize and lionize this. But Steph, if you loved the first season, what happened? Did you not like the second? Did you not try? Did you just
No,
was it?
I just life has been so crazy, and I know my
got you.
personality. Once I'm gonna watch all of it in one sitting, and I just
I got
have not had 6 hours that I can commit to not doing anything else. So that's the problem.
Fair enough.
Why are you smirking like that?
He said it's all or nothing, bruv.
I mean, you know, I'm not.
Say less, fam.
Yeah. If you haven't had the time, then that's what it is. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's up.
You look like you look like, spit it out. You look like you want to say something. You are smiling. You are trying to like what?
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you've been doing a lot of traveling, you know what I'm saying? And you stay
Yes.
up all night and you watch a lot of shows and you talk to a lot of people on
Okay.
phone and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I will make time to talk to Bay. That is the one thing I will do with my time.
I was talking about your
Unapologetically.
boy. I mean, of course, you got to
All
make time for that. But obviously, I'm just playing around and giving you a hard time. But I would say that there's nothing, and I think that this isn't cavalier. There's nothing like this show on TV. I don't know nothing else. There's no other show that does the stuff that Atlanta does. There's no other place. There's nothing. I mean, there are some really disturbing things. Like there's that one episode with the dude in the mansion.
Teddy Perkins. Yeah, the Teddy Perkins episode. Shit, I bet it's so
Bruh,
good, though.
that was the weirdest. Like, and you're just like, but you love it because like him and like my man Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Like you want these black creatives to be spotlighted. You want to broaden the horizon of black creativity so that it's not always just power. So that it's not always just Top Boy. You know what I'm saying? So that we can have room for the Bridgertons and some of these other shows, whether I like them or not. When I heard about Bridgerton, I ain't gonna lie. I haven't watched not one lick of it. I won't. I probably will never. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's great, but it's not necessarily up my alley. But for Shonda Rhimes' vision, I applaud it. Like fuck, like to for the people who are, oh, this is not historically accurate. There wouldn't be black people back then in these suits and in high classes. Like, well, bitch, it's fiction. Okay, we can do that with things just like with Lord of the Rings. These elves don't exist. So for you to say that they can't be black is a little disconcerting. You know what I'm saying? So I love Atlanta for that reason, man. And I love this show because you're not going to see anything else like this with the level of creativity, the stuff that happens. And not only that, the focus on the delicacies of black families, what he goes through with his baby moms, Zazie, what he goes through with his boys, with his friends, with his family. It's all relevant, it's all realistic, and it's all popping. Yeah. Now, having said that, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh no, I was just gonna add a little to you. I love how black this show is, but also like because this show is like one of the blackest shows. Like there's so much like if you know shit going on in this show, and I love it. But we have this thing where we always like to compare like a black show to other black shows.
True.
The show is good compared to anything. Like I don't fuck with hyperbole. I don't just say shit just to say it. This show is brilliant, like just period. By any measure, it's brilliant. Always, there's, like I said, not a single weak episode. Please watch this show. Donald Glover is killing it with this.
Yeah. It like you said, I agree. It's incomparable. There's nothing else. And it's interesting because we started off this whole conversation about not generalizing black people, and then we also say this show's hella black.
But you know exactly what I mean.
What we mean by that.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, and it's true. Like it doesn't parse with blackness. I mean, not that it makes you black to say the N-word, not that it makes you black to curse, But
Right.
there are like the authenticity of the writing here. It goes so that when you're watching it, it does feel, there are elements of it that feel reality show-esque because there's the writing is so natural.
Yeah, if I may, it doesn't dilute blackness for the comfort of a white audience. I think
there you go.
So it's I think it more realistically and faithfully and respectfully portrays the black experience.
I jumped ahead. Yeah,
a specific black experience.
Agreed. And one more time for Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah. Darius Garrett.
His role is one. He kind of strikes me. He's a stoner who still has a lot of sense, but it's buried deep beneath his superficial, somewhat nutty, but still intelligent character. I guess it's kind of hard. I don't know. I can't really describe it, man. It's just that dope. Just watch it so we could talk to you about it. Atlanta season 3 is amongst us. It's on Hulu or Fire Stick for those of y'all who like Talim. And I think that the first episode I wasn't too thrilled about until I learned about what the episode was about, because I wasn't aware of it. And Donald Glover is just that quirky to put in something to make us learn about it. Like it's about those adopted kids, and they ended up getting driven over it's worth a watch. I was mad at it at first, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that happened in real life. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that happens. Watch the show. It's dope. We still got to talk Moonlight, Halo, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But before we do, I'd be remiss if I didn't allow Stephanie. Not allow. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like I'm allowing you to. But if
permission
I did not
granted, Stephanie.
Tap into Stephanie's. Stephanie really wants to talk about this show, Ultimatum. All right, I'm frankly. All right, go ahead, Steph.
It is like a car crash. It's horrific. It's terrible, but I cannot tear my eyes away. The premise of the show is that couples who are, who've been together for a couple of years but are not engaged, they all have one person in this scenario. They all have one person in the relationship who really wants to get married, one person who's unsure. So they issue the ultimatum. At the end of this show, either you're proposing or we're breaking up, and that's what it is. So couples come onto the show. They have a couple days to like meet and greet, mix and match with the other couples, and they have to choose someone else they like out of the group to be their new partner, who they will then live with in a trial marriage situation for 3 weeks to see what it's like to be with someone else. And then after that, they spend 3 weeks with their original partner living with them. The idea being, is the grass really greener on the other side? This time with someone else will either teach you to value your partner more, or you might develop a new connection and realize that actually you're ready to see what else is out there. The entire season is on Netflix, including the reunion. And guys, it's a trash fire. It's exactly what you would expect to happen.
Is that what we like? Do we like trash fires? Are we
At the end of that, I was like, for real, we ain't watching that shit, and kept going. So yeah. I mean, I'm in the dude category here, where I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens in your.
Yeah. All right. So yes, I watched it. Yes, my wife made me watch it, but I will say this. Men like drama just as much as women do. Don't get it twisted. They let I know every dude damn near in America watched the first season of Bad Girls Club. You know what I'm saying? So the idea that we don't, you know what I'm saying, we don't kind of like shit like this, we do. I just think that it's been so much of this shit at this point that it's just like, like if you want to impress me with a show like this, when it comes to the ultimatum part and they were like, okay, so what's your decision? I want somebody to be like, I couldn't make a decision. I want both of y'all, and we all walk up in the sunset. and that'll be like, I'll be like, yo, oh! that'll be when I'm like, yo, ultimatum hit an all-time high. Did you guys? There's actually a Bad Boys Club coming out, by the way.
Oh God.
Which again, listen, drama sells. You think so? You think we ain't gonna pull up just to see who fights?
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
absolutely
but
not.
they will.
I probably
You
me
might
either.
not. You might not. But I'm just telling you, there's a lot of dudes out here that be flipping through, that be bored flipping through TV, and then bam, you see some dudes fighting on TV, and you gonna stop and watch the fight. That's just what we do. Like, don't get it twisted.
How
Like,
many
that's
years
what
was
we
cops
do.
on? It's just people getting arrested and running from the police.
That
Like,
shit is funny though.
Did you ever watch Jerry Springer?
every
back
episode?
in the
Right.
day?
Right.
Like it's the
I
same
watch
shit.
Shell.
It's the Jerry
Maury.
Springer effect. Yeah, more like it's
Maury.
that same shit.
Thank
It's
you,
all the
drama,
same
bro. We
category of
love
shit.
it.
Yeah.
We love it. That shit sells. That's why
All
they
right.
keep putting it on TV.
That's why there's no shows about a group of couples who go and sit down and talk to a therapist and work through their issues.
Actually, that
That's
actually is.
actually boot camp. That's
There
actually
actually
boot
is.
camp.
A friend of
do
mine
is
was
there?
on.
Yes.
My boy Q. Shout out to Q out in Texas. Married this young lady named Spinderella, from Salt and
From
Pepper.
Salt and Pepper?
You know, Spinderella.
Yes, literally.
Yes.
And they're on this show called Couples Therapy. Yes, dead ass. Like, I can pull up the trailer for you right now.
That's
And
cool.
it's still messy. Benzino's on the show. It's a mess. I watched it because my friend's on it. I mean, literally, like,
Killer on there with his lady. They had
yeah.
they had a lot of
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are shows like that.
Ja Rule.
But until one of them, activates the Tesseract, you know what I'm saying? Or until somebody's on there and like somebody grows an extra arm or has a cloak device, I have zero interest in it. I mean, listen, I know that it has its place. But I don't know, man. It doesn't I don't feel like it appeals to me, Steph. I feel like it's messy in the way that Bad Girls Club, Real Housewives, things like that. But I did used to watch Real World. I used to watch Road Rules.
Same
I'm
shit.
not going to cash
Drama.
it in yet, but I do feel like you owe me a show, Vince. After that Teen Titans bullshit that you had me watching every week, I feel like I got one time to be like, Vince, you got to watch this shit.
At least he didn't get you with the Mortel. Okay, like just be happy.
Was dope.
No, but yes.
All right.
The worst show ever.
That
It
was
literally,
not a bad
listen,
show.
it literally
Oh
came
my
up
God.
on my watch again list, and I was like, how do I delete this shit off here?
Terrible.
Yo, y'all are tripping. Y'all are wilding on
Vince.
Mortel, man.
It was
Mortel
bad. It was
That's
bad.
Mortal
bad. That is
and
bad.
That was
Ragnarok y'all need to stop running those shows through the ringer, man. Them joints was hot. Y'all just wasn't ready for them.
Look at our
Just wait till
faces.
Mortal season 3 comes
And
out. Y'all gonna be like, you know what, I was
even
wrong.
agreeing faces. Look at us.
Remember, Vince, I had your back on Ragnarok, but that last season 2 was terrible. The season finale was the best part. The ending was the best part of that whole
In
season.
both seasons, it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
in
was
both
crazy.
seasons. So yeah, no.
Listen, the
Mortal
only
was
good
terrible.
part about Ragnarok was the fact that like the dude birthed the serpent.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only-
Yo, you know what I thought? Have we not considered the parallels between that and Raised by Wolves? Like,
Ooh,
there's something weird.
They're just drawing from a lot of existing mythology, is all it is.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm not
The whole idea of like a world-eating serpent and stuff
Right.
like that is, it's just
yeah,
mythology.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's
Yeah,
biblical
that's
and all that, whatever. Yeah, man. Okay, well, listen. I'm not I like this show online called on Netflix called Sexy Beasts. That's a dating show, but it's funny.
My God.
So I
with
can
the
watch it, but
costumes.
it's
Furries with their
hilarious.
dresses, like,
With the
different,
makeup
like,
and all that shit. Yeah, bro. That shit is
shit.
hilarious, bro. I love that. Is funny. The announcer's funny, the writing's funny, the reveal is funny. Sometimes the reveal, they'll be like, oh, wait until he sees me outside of these clothes, till he sees me outside of this makeup. And then it's like a Viking looking, like a shield maiden Lagertha coming, hey, see, you missed out on this. And you're like, yeah, I guess we did. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I just got myself. I should not say stuff like that. I didn't mean that. All right, whatever, man. Look, I'm not gonna last all my life. Everybody's beautiful. All right, everybody's beautiful. Just know that. Everybody's beautiful. Here are some shows that we do like, though. Look, last week, Moon Knight was dope. Again, in my opinion, I think that there's no need to even debate the success of this show. It's fucking dope as shit. They're giving us just enough to make us want more. And you were right, Tyrone. They're in modern day Egypt. And in this episode, we learned that, again, not only is there Oscar Oscar, Steven,
It's always gonna be
and Mark. But just like Daniel warned us, and just like some others in last week's comments, like to quote Yoda, there was another. So I'm just now even more geeked up about what it is that we have to look forward to. But I mean, Yaz, what was your thoughts about this last episode? I'm assuming you did see Moon Knight this Wednesday or whenever. No?
My last thoughts about this episode. Oh my god. I'm enthralled. I cannot wait to cosplay this shit. And I'm talking about Mr. Knight and Moon Knight. Hey, I'm excited. This Khonshu, I love the dynamics that Oscar Isaac is giving us with the three different possibly four different personalities. It's kind of it's incredible. I'm loving, just like the storyline, how it's going. We're literally getting like 2 episodes in one, and I'm so happy about that because we're only going to get 6 episodes and we're halfway through officially now, Tyrone, just in case you're wondering. Got you, bruv. And I even though he was very like cringeworthy, the character he was playing, rest in peace, like many said to, Gaspard, the Midnight Man. He did play a very good villain in this one. And I liked how the damn whatever the fuck they were doing. I don't know what you call that weird jousting shit they were doing. But I thought it was cool when they like stuck him to the ground. You know what I mean? That part was kind of fucking dope, and like how he got out of it. So, and I'm loving his wife Layla. Like no lie, like when she took off that necklace and used it to kill that motherfucker, I was like, yes, that's my bitch right there. So yes, I'm digging the couple, like their angst and I'm saying, like them getting through their bullshit, them as individual, what I'm saying, like with their stuff that they're handling and stuff like that, what I'm saying, like I'm curious to find out this whole like past shit with Layla and her dad and why she had to leave, what I'm saying, and everything, and like why she's not allowed in Cairo where she's from. So like there's definitely a lot of questions I still have that I hope that they they come out with, but I'm loving all of this. Like the action is I'm sitting just ready with my popcorn, so just give it to me. I'm ready to eat.
Tyrone, what was your thoughts on the episode, man?
Yeah, loving it. I kind of think that they're alluding to the fact that Mark may have killed her father, and they're going to have to reckon with that. That's where I think that's going. The whole scene where Khonshu reset the sky, and you get to see people reacting to it. I love to see more of people living in this crazy time where like the sky is being scrolled backwards. You know what I mean? They're just like, what the hell? That's a fun perspective in that show. And the idea of now Khonshu being separated from Mark, Steven, and whoever this third is, perhaps Jake, perhaps not, but yeah, now that Khonshu is being punished, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, to see how these personalities work together to protect each other. Because I don't know if this is going to be the case, but if Khonshu isn't around, I'd imagine he doesn't have his armor or his suit or anything like that. So we may not see any Moon Knight action in the next episode, but maybe some good old multiple personality, back and forth, some like a one person team up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one person within 3, 4. I mean, once. Yeah. Well, you're right. If he doesn't have from what we're learning here, just on the show, if he doesn't have Khonshu, he doesn't have what he called his armor. There's some sort of armor that goes along. And I think that has to do with the suit as well. But Ty, I mean, even without the armor, it seems like Mark Spector is still a badass and still would kick the shit out of the average, non-power having human being. But one of the things that I thought was funny in this is that Moon Knight, Mr. Midnight, the one with the fancy suit.
Yeah, Mr. Knight.
He kind of was a little timid. Like he had the chance to fight and was like, no, come on in, Mark, go ahead and take this. Are we watching multiple growths? I mean, while Stephen is still kind of getting used to what it's like to be in the sunken place, so to speak. But he's also learning how to punch, hit, fight. But it seems like it's going to be kind of hard when the person that could teach you is inside your head, how to do these things. I don't know.
I don't know that he's learned how to fight at all throughout any of this. Because when he started, he was like, "Take the suit, take the suit." He was like, "Yo," he was like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." And that was, that's not someone who's learning how to fight. But I just want to speak on this because I think it's so important. If Kantu can turn back the just time
right.
at just a whim, and the other gods encased him in stone. Do we realize what that means? Like, that means these gods are super powerful. Like, we don't even, like, this is coming into the MCU, y'all. Like, we talk about if these gods at any point get mad or you know what I'm saying, decide that they don't want to, we're an afterthought. Like, it's like that's how powerful they are. And I was just like, that to me is like the biggest tell, because the MCU moving forward, if you're now bringing in Moon Knight and bringing in the Egyptian gods, and this is one section of gods, because there's gods when it comes to the Asgardian gods, and everything with Odin, and now you have the Egyptian gods, and when we go to Wakanda, you got to have the African gods. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of, this is woo. Yeah. I'm excited for what we about to see, man. This is excitement right here, bro.
I heard that on episode 4 that they're going to unveil Jesus of Nazareth. As one of the guys was. All right, sorry.
But many got locked up again for what?
Who got locked?
Facebook.
Minnie's. Wait. What?
Minnie's a repeat offender.
They don't put Minnie in Facebook jail again.
Nah, he's not. Minnie's right there.
Nah, he was right there.
No way. No way, yo. Nah, Minnie did not.
Like, his comments, it's like this. Her comment is after his. So he must get comment no more.
Nah, man. Anyway, well, hey, look. Yeah, you're definitely onto something with the whole notion of the gods, bro. I mean, yeah, we've been dealing with the Asgardians and the Norse gods, and now we got the Egyptian gods. Which, I mean, I know we're limited on time. We spoke a lot earlier about a lot of this stuff, but the Egyptian gods and the concept of Egypt is always in the Black community. Well, I won't say always, but is in the Black community been a little bit of it's been a little bit of a tug of war, right? Because Egypt is in Africa. Sometimes people forget that, which means the Egyptians are Africans. Okay. Which means that the culture of which we are so proud of, with the Gaza pyramids and all of these, and Alexandria and the libraries and the concept of astronomy, science and mathematics, is African concepts, which Black people, of course, laying claim to Africa as our mother continent, tend to lay claim to. So that makes it interesting when you get a lot of movies like Gods of Egypt and a lot of different areas where you're expecting to see darker hued individuals cast as the roles. Well, Cleopatra is something that I want to clear up. We've tried to lay claim to Cleopatra, but I have read and I have decided to wash my hands clean of the claiming of Cleopatra as a Black person, because she was not Black. She was Greek. She was a transplant in Egypt to keep Egypt in line while it was being run by another place. And she is the product of multiple generations of incest, which is how they kept their family line pure. After reading all of this, I decided I'd choose not to claim Cleopatra as a Black person. She can claim Egyptians. She can claim that she was Egyptian because she was technically born there, but she is not. She wasn't cute either. Evidently, according to some of the statues and some of the things. Once again, here I am.
But
you have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind.
We're all beautiful. Everybody's beautiful. All right, I'm sorry. I don't mean to diminish anybody's looks. Damn it.
I think
bro.
I think we're gonna have we're definitely gonna have to talk about this on the after
Yes.
show for real, because this is I definitely have a lot to say when it comes to in regards to that. But
yeah, I don't
wanna
want no
take
parts of Cleopatra. I don't want no parts of her history. I know that she was. I used to use it as a joke. I say, yo, we have strong black women. Cleopatra, and I named Cleopatra. I used to cling so hard to Cleopatra being black. She wasn't. She was not black. Historically, she was put in Egypt as a ruler over the Egyptian people by, it's kind of like Bebinbur. You know what I'm saying? It's like they put somebody in Wessex, even if it's King, which is another show that I wish we would talk about, the Kingdom and the Vikings of Valhalla. But if they put King Canute in Mercia, it doesn't make him Mercian. It just means he's a ruler of Mercia. That's what happened with Cleopatra. But we want to kind of box folks who want to like make it seem like, yo, we Cleopatra's one of us. She wasn't. She was a transplant put there so that Greeks could still have control over their when they conquered Egypt for that small period of time. So
what you're saying is like she's like the white woman who goes down to the Caribbean and gets cornrows.
Yes, that's exactly what she's the white girl with dreads. She's the Hawaiian who moved there from Seattle, who is now a native Hawaiian. You know what I'm saying? Who gets down there and Kamehameha this and pigeon that, but no, chick, you're from Utah, and so I mean that's something that folks are going to have to do their own reckoning and do their own read their own books and make their own assessments of. But it's one of those things that I had to catch up on. Now, having said that, Egypt again is to us as black people like one of the most heralding things in our history. We're so proud of Egypt. So I'm a little nervous about how they approach this Egyptian culture. And I just kind of want to make sure that they don't whitewash it the way that we typically see it whitewashed in a lot of these others, theatrical, like Gods in Egypt and like, any of these other joints, So I get the sense that may be happening though, Steph. I get a sense that even though you didn't necessarily like or watch the show, that Moon Knight is based on an Egyptian god. It has a basis in Egyptian gods, which puts it in Africa, which means now you have to answer to us about the accurate depiction of Egyptian and African culture. So they better not mess it up. What say you about Cleopatra and these other things?
I like to claim her. Haven't done a whole lot of deep research on whether or not that's accurate. So I'm just gonna continue to do so until I see otherwise, even though I believe you. I just like the idea. So
well, get it out your head. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm not backing down off of this shit.
It has decided.
Yeah, I have. I'm telling y'all right now, it's a farce. All right. And I'm no longer in that camp. I did want to claim her, but just a little bit of reading, and even pictures. All right.
Nefertiti it is.
Nefertiti.
We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful. We gotta be really, really careful with when we double down on things that we weren't privy to. Like unless you were actually there, you don't know, and I don't know, and for you to stand and be like, yo, I'm telling you can't tell me because you weren't there. Like the thing about history is whatever my opinion is at that time. If you're not here when you read it later on, that's what it is. That's what it is. Like it's no guarantee that anything that's been written is true. It's no guarantee. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying there's no guarantee that everything that is written is true. So we have to think about it from other circumstances as far as environment, region, what the weather is like. How does that dictate to one's pigmentation? So how do we determine what a race is when races are not really like it's like, you know what I mean? So that all of that stuff you gotta just to double down and be like, Cleopatra wasn't one of us.
Was a white Greek woman that was a product of incest, bro. That's what it is. And I'm standing by it. And right now, I got folks that want to claim that she was black because I feel that she was black. Well, all I'm saying is the same way I read words and read history to determine what it is that evidently was the truth or may have been, or who knows, could have been lies. It's the same way I want to be told that she's black. So use those same things instead of us going off our gut feelings and off of our we want to believe. Let's point to something tangible. And if you can take me in a TARDIS or a DeLorean and prove to me, nope, she was a dark-skinned, curly-haired black woman, then let's do it. But according to the records, which one of the things that Europeans did different from most cultures was keep records. Her, King Henry, Philip, these other folks that would screw each other's sisters and cousins in order to maintain power for a long period of time is what Cleopatra is a product of. And we've chosen to ignore it. But hey, we have to discover things on our own. It's not an easy thing to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like when white folks find out Jesus wasn't white, it's not always an easy thing to learn. Even when it says clearly, Revelations 1:15, feet of brass as if burnt in a furnace. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, that's your Bible. All right, man. I'm going
coming at all your ancient heroes on the New Blerd Order today. What you got? Where's you fuck with Santa Claus? Not anymore. Damn, I decided.
Yo. Well, anyway, man. All I'm saying is tread lightly, Moon Knight. Tread lightly, because once you start dealing with Egypt, you're dealing with Africa. When you're dealing with Africa, you're dealing with black people. And when you're dealing with black people, we are dealing with a sensitive culture that does not want to be misappropriated. All right. So tread lightly.
You know what's crazy about that? Out of all the gods that were up there, I think there was only one black woman.
Yeah.
So
and I was like, that's what I was talking about. I mean, like,
just saying.
They were,
if your fear is,
yeah. To be fair, they explained it as so these aren't the actual gods themselves. These are just the avatars for their gods, and they're just meant to be on the world, just blending in and observing, in different corners of the world, which would explain their cultural and racial diversity. So I feel like what they're doing is they are being careful with it, and then when they actually show the gods, they're in like they're more creature form, like Khonshu and stuff like that. If we do ever see any of the other gods, I doubt they'll be humanoids. It'll be a jackal, or if we see Amit, she's gonna look like a crocodile. Like that's just what it is.
All right.
That's facts. I saw an article that said the same thing, that that's what Kevin Feige is aiming to do. These are not going to be human beings. They're going to be exactly what Tyrone just described. There'll be that there'll be the traditional stuff that we've seen in Egyptian culture.
Yeah, like we see Khonshu, they keep referring to him as a bird, right? So what Tyrone's saying actually makes sense. Overall, I think that one of the dopest things about this episode to take away from is the fact that we are being introduced to the third character that he has inside of him, which is the drunk, the problem child. But he evidently is one of the most fierce fighters amongst all three of them. I mean, he came to consciousness. Mark came back to consciousness and was like, yo, who the fuck? And you know what else I noticed about this episode? Disney's Marvels are not ashamed to kill motherfuckers. Like, yo, there was some death, not a lot of blood, but there was some absolute death in these. I mean, there have been death in all of the series, don't get me wrong, but there's some ruthless killing that went on where it could have just been, they got punched out, knocked out, but no, baby girl, like straight, like there was some slicing, dicing, stabbing. There was some death in this shit. So I'm happy to see it. I don't know that's how I should feel, but happy to see it, man. Happy to see it. Bring it on, Moon Knight. Love that episode a lot more than I love this week's episode of Halo. Tyrone, you've been a cheerleader of Halo. Now I think me and you at this point may be the only two. I think Tyrone's watching it. I mean, I think Talim's watching it too. But I don't know, bro. I feel like this episode is gone. It's kind of gone up, and I don't know what
this episode was a story episode. They're like, all right, we're gonna focus on some story elements and stuff like that. It was slower, so there was a lot more just like, moments were sitting for a while, and I get your feeling on this one, but there was a lot of important story stuff that happened. Still, I think they're doing a great job with the show. Visually, it's still awesome. They're dealing with some more of the emotional stuff, focusing on some of the other Spartans and everything. So yeah, it went a little bit away from the last 3 episodes, but still, I'm 100% on board. I like where they're going, and I think they're about to be, I think as it turns the corner into what's, where these stories are actually going, being able to decipher what the Covenant are talking about, understand what they're searching for, getting to the Halo ring, the way they kicked in that music at the very end of the episode, almost to kind of let you know, okay, now we're in it. You know what I mean? Now we're doing Halo. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It was a little bit of a slower episode, but for me, still good. Halo's still killing the game in new sci-fi shows.
Yeah. Are you watching it, Yaz?
I am. Yeah. I like it. I mean, I'm definitely intrigued. I agree with Tyrone 100%. This one, I understand why you weren't on board for it because it was a little bit slower, and I get that. But we kind of needed to know this background for us to go further, and this was a pivotal moment in this episode right now. So, I mean, we got to find out, like, that fucking little baby, you know what I'm saying, like, artifact they found was, like, a baby artifact compared to what they found. You know what I'm saying? So definitely cool.
Yeah. Ty, you like this last episode? Did you see it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been from the start of this show. I've been like hype on this show, like it, and I still am hype on this show. I think it is well written. I think I mean, like with any series, you get like an episode that gives you a little bit of a lull. This one was more like, just kind of going into the dynamics between why do I always what's the dude's name? Huh?
John and
John. With John, his whole ordeal with getting little remnants of his past and kind of these little images coming and going, and now kind of finding out his connection to the artifact. Like, this dude was drawing the artifact when he was a kid. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, before the artifact was even a thing, he's drawing it in this box. They find the box, they find all of these drawings that he's done, and they're all pictures of the artifact. So this is I think it's a really good story, and I love the action. I love everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, and I agree with Lisa. She basically said, "Look, I don't like the story shit. Like, look, bro, where are the pictures? So enough of this reading." Now, I mean, but I get it. I understand developmental episodes. In this particular episode, as we start to get ready to wrap up, there are a few things that stood out. We didn't really get to talk about how much I love the way that they depict Cortana. They killed it. They killed it. They did Cortana right. I really truly believe that this, because I didn't get in the game. It never really. I thought that Cortana was in the suit. I didn't know it was in his brain. You know what I'm saying? I always thought that Cortana was kind of like a Siri. That in his suit.
It's different in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's able to like take something out of his helmet and like put it into like something else, so she can, so it is different in the game.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good. So in this particular one, they put Cortana in his head. Like, it's in his head, which I'm still confused how everybody sees Cortana. I know she tried to explain it. She's like, she gave some psycho babble about how it's possible to see an image that is implanted in his head, but they see it. But besides that, her mannerisms, the way she talks, the way that she has, I mean, she's AI. She's not a robot. So she has emotion. I mean, she's programmable emotion. She's feisty. You know what I'm saying? She, and I dig that. And it looks real enough to believe. So I dig that aspect of it. Another thing that I thought was interesting that I think is a storyline that's not getting as much play as it probably will start is the whole notion of the Spartans having background stories. The Spartans being human beings that were made into superhuman beings that did not always seem that way. And their struggle with, like there was this whole scene where they were like, oh, we had pets. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know y'all had pets. And like, oh yeah, I killed mine. I was told I killed. You're like, oh shit, all right, well. And then you start to humanize these Spartans. And this girl who puts the red stuff in her hair, she's starting to kind of like bring more of a human-esque aspect to these folks that are looked at, as she says, as robots, but they're not. You know, I don't even know what's going on with this chick. Like, why is she having these feelings? What's going on, Tyrone?
Well, she seems to be she seems to have an affinity for Master Chief as far as like admiration and stuff like that. I don't think there's romance or anything, maybe yet, who knows, but like she definitely like saw him, you know, kind of taking this journey for himself and was like, interesting. And you know, she started to kind of mimic his journey to emotional awakening. And I like what they're doing with the whole idea that our human emotions don't always have to be weakness. They can also be strength. They can guide us in a way that it can be helpful and, you know, can be useful. And, you know, because without this, we never would have had the decoding of the covenant language and, you know, wouldn't know anything about the artifacts, what's happening. So it's this thing where our humanity is our greatest strength is the overall message of the show. And I like it. I think it's done well.
Hey. Okay, I didn't even peep that. That's a decoded message. I didn't see that one. But also before we go, I have to say on our way out that I don't have a picture of her. I wish I did, but I'm over this chick, the one that Bokeem is protecting. She is annoying me. I understand why she's upset. I get it, but it's like, bitch, calm down. Like you know, like.
She got her own build.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, just stop acting out of emotion and just act a little more.
Then you don't even understand. Then if you're saying stop acting out of, like, they killed her father in front of her.
Yeah, but she rushed back to this planet.
Yeah, she rushed back to do what her father was doing because that's like she like this like what her level of emotion is very important to what she's trying to do. Like, first of all, we find out later that she's tied into more than what we even know. We don't even know what she's tied into, but we know that her line is responsible for something. So at this point, we got to see what's going on. But look, man, you got to wrap the show up. So I'm not going. We talk about this in the after.
And real quick, she's a true revolutionary. You know, she's a revolutionary, and she will not drop that. So you know, I respect it.
A revolutionary.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, listen, we've covered a lot, man, from Donald Glover interviewing himself to blacks and nerdiness and how that relates in couples, to our favorite new show, Ultimatum, to Top Boy and other things. So yeah, man, let's just keep this going. We might do a little afterwards, maybe not, who knows. But for this week, we'll go ahead and deuce. I got to go back on the cruise and start next week. So who knows? Maybe I'll be here. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But either way, we going to have a good time talking this good blur stuff. Come on in, man. Let's on behalf of myself and everybody else, we hope that you all do continue to be your authentic selves. Because if you ain't being yourself, you're being fake, obviously. And as always, in all things, you a geek, go ahead. Let that geek flag fly. Free my dog, Minnie.
Fighter 2, I just really hate Zangief, only Ken and Ra. I find it hard to be Blanca, keep a wee ninja hanging and the uncle album banging. If you negative in energy, then stay out the vicinity. Yeah, them niggas over there. Yeah.